The story begins with a man named Daisuke, who works as a tour guide in Hawaii. Known for his good looks, Daisuke is the heartthrob of many female tourists. He possesses a remarkable charm, effortlessly captivating those he guides. Often, his interactions with the tourists leave them emotionally drawn to him, though Daisuke maintains strict professionalism. Once the tour concludes, he always finds a way to avoid any lingering attachments from infatuated tourists. At work, Daisuke is the star employee, consistently attracting clients and generating the bulk of the company's revenue. However, being a tour guide is merely his side job. His primary profession is far removed from the hospitality industry. Daisuke is an astronomer devoted to studying the stars. One morning, after finishing his research, Daisuke's car breaks down on the way home. While waiting for a tow truck, he decides to stop by a nearby cafe. As he orders coffee, his eyes fall on a beautiful woman named Rue. In that fleeting moment, Daisuke experiences love at first sight. That evening, as Daisuke stargazes, he shares his encounter with Rue with a friend. Jokingly, his friend suggests that this meeting might be destiny and encourages Daisuke to pursue her. However, Daisuke dismisses the idea, insisting that love would only distract him from his research. He believes love is for the weak and convinces himself that Rue is not his type. Determined, he decides to avoid getting involved. The next morning, Daisuke returns to the cafe like before. Seeing Rue seated at the same spot, he feels drawn to her again. Summoning his courage, Daisuke approaches her and starts a conversation. During their chat, they share stories about their lives. Rue reveals that she is an art teacher with a keen interest in stars, a coincidence that excites Daisuke. As a result, he enthusiastically explains his research on constellations. Just as their conversation grows lively, Rue excuses herself, explaining that she has to attend her father's birthday celebration. Before leaving, she suggests meeting again at the same time the next day. As they part ways, both feel a deep joy from their interaction. The following day, Daisuke returns to the cafe as promised. Spotting Rue in the same seat, he eagerly approaches her. However, when he greets her, Rue reacts strangely. She looks at him with confusion and accuses him of being a creep. Daisuke is left bewildered. Just the day before, they had talked like old friends, but now she treats him as if he were a stranger. Amid his confusion, the cafe owner pulls Daisuke aside to explain the situation. She reveals that Rue suffers from amnesia caused by a severe accident she experienced the previous year. The brain injury she sustained has left her with a unique condition. Each time she wakes up, the memories of the previous day vanish completely. With this condition, Rue's mind resets to the day before the accident, which leaves Daisuke stunned. In the afternoon, when Rue arrives home, her father Kena greets her with a pineapple in hand. Kena is pretending that it is his birthday, the same day Rue had her accident while buying a pineapple as a birthday gift. Additionally, Kena asks Rue to paint the garage wall, just as she used to do before the accident. As a result, Kena always buys a fresh pineapple and repaints the wall that Rue decorated. That evening, during the candle-blowing ceremony, Kenta and Rue's younger brother Shintaro play their roles with enthusiasm, despite having repeated the celebration nearly 300 times. They manage to maintain a cheerful atmosphere, making it seem like nothing is amiss. Late at night, after Rue falls asleep, Kenta and Shintaro meticulously rearrange the house to make it look exactly as it did on the last day Rue remembers. These efforts are to keep her happy and prevent the shock that might drain her will to live. The next day at the cafe, driven by curiosity, Daisuke tries different ways to approach Rue again. However, instead of succeeding, Rue gets angry and drives him away. Undeterred, Daisuke tries another approach the following day. This time, Rue pretends to speak Chinese, claiming not to understand Japanese. On the third day, Daisuke changes his strategy. Rather than approaching Rue directly, he decides to make her approach him. With a dramatic display of exaggerated crying, Daisuke successfully grabs Rue's attention. Concerned, Rue comes over to console him and invites him to sit with her. They begin to talk and share stories, and with this method, Daisuke finally manages to connect with Rue. However, as they part ways, Rue reveals that she had known about Daisuke's lies all along. Observing his behavior, Rue had concluded that he was just a playboy trying to charm her. Disappointed, Rue leaves Daisuke behind. Feeling guilty, Daisuke tries to follow her. Seeing Daisuke's persistence in bothering Rue, the cafe owner becomes concerned and contacts Kenta. When Daisuke arrives at Rue's house, Kenta and Shintaro immediately interrogate him. Without hesitation, Kenta demands that Daisuke stay away from Rue. Apparently, Kenta and the cafe owner have been working hard to protect Rue's condition. Kenta does not want Daisuke's presence to upset Rue or make her aware of her condition. Firmly, Kenta forbids Daisuke from returning to the cafe to approach Rue again. Hearing this, Daisuke remains silent and leaves. The next morning at work, Daisuke, who has not gained Kenta's approval, cannot stop thinking about Rue. While confiding in his boss, who casually advises him. According to the boss, if Daisuke truly loves Rue, he should persevere and not give up, no matter the obstacles. This advice reignites Daisuke's determination. With newfound resolve, Daisuke sets out to find Rue. On the way, not far from Rue's house, Daisuke begins crafting a plan. He reasons that as long as he does not go to the cafe, he is not violating Kenta's orders. Soon he spots Rue's car in the distance. Quickly, Daisuke stops her car, pretending to need help jump-starting his dead battery. However, instead of improving the situation, Daisuke accidentally gets shocked. The following day, Daisuke tries once more to catch Rue's attention. This time, he dresses in a dinosaur costume, but Rue simply ignores him and walks past. Frustrated by repeated failures, Daisuke resorts to a more extreme tactic. He ties himself up and lies in the middle of the road, hoping Rue will stop to help him. However, Rue does not notice him, and Daisuke is almost hit by a car. Fortunately, the incident does not put his life in danger. Despite all of this, Daisuke refuses to give up. In his next attempt, Daisuke enlists the help of a close friend to pretend to be a thug in hopes that his plan will finally succeed. Unfortunately, none of his efforts go as planned. Shortly afterward, Kenta passes by and invites Daisuke to his house. At home, Kenta admits that he has been secretly observing Daisuke's persistence. Touched by his sincerity, Kenta finally softens and reveals that ever since meeting Daisuke, Rue has often been heard singing to herself, like someone falling in love. Kenta believes that love might be the best therapy for Rue. With this in mind, Kenta decides to give Daisuke his blessing. Overjoyed by this approval, Daisuke is filled with happiness. The next morning at the cafe, as usual, Daisuke tries to approach Rue again, but his efforts are once again rejected. During their conversation, police officer suddenly arrives to issue a fine for Rue's car, as its registration has expired. At first, Rue refuses to believe it, confident that her registration is valid until next year. However, after noticing the date on a newspaper, which differs from the date in her memory, Rue starts to realize something is wrong. With the truth now exposed, Rue, Daisuke, Kenta, and Shintaro visit a brain specialist to learn more about her condition. At the hospital, the doctor explains that there is no sign of recovery. Due to severe damage to the central part of her brain, it is highly likely that Rue will suffer from permanent amnesia. This revelation leaves everyone silent. To lighten the mood, the doctor introduces them to another patient whose condition is even more severe than Rue's. This patient, a man named Tom, suffers from extreme amnesia, with memories lasting only 10 seconds before being erased. No matter what happens, Tom forgets everything after 10 seconds. Seeing his condition, Rue feels more grateful for her own circumstances. That night, upon returning home, Rue, now fully aware that her memories will continue to fade, asks Daisuke to visit her again with lilies, her favorite flower. Rue believes that if Daisuke comes with lilies, she will never be able to refuse him. A few days later, Daisuke arrives at Rue's house with a bouquet of lilies and a DVD he especially prepared for her. Though Rue doesn't know what the DVD contains, she feels a surge of happiness. When the DVD is played, it reveals a recording about Rue's accident. The video also includes a reenactment of their first meeting at the cafe, featuring one of Daisuke's friends narrating the story. Daisuke hopes the video will help Rue accept the truth about her condition without losing hope, even if her memories disappear daily. To Daisuke, Rue is an extraordinary woman capable of overcoming anything. After watching the video, Rue cries for a long time on the beach, overwhelmed by sadness. However, she gradually begins to accept her reality. The next morning, upon waking up, Rue watches the DVD again to remind herself of her situation before starting her day. Over the following days, Rue grows accustomed to her condition. She and Daisuke officially become a couple. Although Rue feels like she's meeting Daisuke for the first time every morning, he always manages to make her fall in love with him again. For Rue, every day with Daisuke feels like a first date. Throughout their relationship, Daisuke frequently records their happy moments together to play back for Rue each morning. Additionally, he takes her to his secret stargazing spot, doing everything he can to bring joy to her life. One evening, while gazing at the stars, Rue wishes she didn't have to sleep, so the memories of the moment would never fade. Back at home, after comforting Rue, Kenta, Shintaro, and Daisuke gather outside her room. At that moment, they discuss a job offer Daisuke has received from an astronomy research institute in America. Daisuke then shares his inner conflict. On one hand, becoming an astronomer has been his dream for 10 years. On the other hand, he doesn't want to leave Rue. Unbeknownst to them, Rue overhears the conversation from behind the door. Feeling guilty, Rue begins to worry that continuing their relationship might only burden Daisuke. The next day, while Daisuke is guiding a group of tourists, Rue suddenly arrives to meet him. After gathering her courage, Rue expresses her desire to end their relationship. She explains that she doesn't want to stand in the way of Daisuke's future. Rue also asks him to come to her house that evening to erase all their memories together. By doing so, she believes Daisuke can pursue his dreams without guilt. Hearing her decision, Daisuke remains silent. That evening, at Rue's house, they begin tearing up the notes that hold their shared memories and burning them. Despite the pain, they both believe it's the best choice. Along with the notes, Rue deletes all their photos together. Before parting, she asks for one final embrace, a bittersweet moment to say goodbye. A few days later, Daisuke is seen celebrating his achievement of becoming an astronomer with his friends. This success marks his imminent move to America. While waiting for his departure, Daisuke continues to work as a tour guide to pass the time. The day before his flight, Daisuke, still hesitant about leaving Rue, confides in a friend. Seeing his doubts, his friend reassures him that leaving is the right decision. Daisuke's friend also reminds of the immense effort he has put into achieving his dreams. Not only that, he also points out that Rue, who loses her memory every day, might no longer remember him. This realization strengthens Daisuke's resolve. He decides to focus on his aspirations and let go of the feelings holding him back. On the day of his departure, Kenta and Shintaro come to the airport to bid him farewell. Kenta thanks Daisuke for everything he has done for Rue. In a somber tone, Kenta shares that Rue is now staying at a hospital for rehabilitation while working as a teacher, determined not to let her condition become a burden on her father. Hearing this, Daisuke feels a pang of worry. After saying goodbye, Daisuke boards the plane and waits for takeoff. While looking at photos of his time with Rue on his laptop, tears stream down his face as memories of their beautiful moments flood his mind. At that moment, Daisuke realizes that while a man must chase his dreams, a true man does not abandon his love. Sometime later, Daisuke arrives at the hospital and introduces himself to Rue, just as he did when they first met. Though Rue doesn't recognize him, her heart feels a sense of familiarity with the man before her. Rue, now working as an art teacher, invites Daisuke to her painting studio. Upon entering, Daisuke is shocked to see that all the paintings depict him. Rue explains that Daisuke frequently appears in her dreams, leaving her wondering who he is. Daisuke shares the story of their relationship, assuring Rue that she has never been a burden to him, but instead a source of his happiness. Overcome with emotion, Rue cries and embraces Daisuke. 2 years later, One night, Rue wakes up from her sleep. As usual, though slightly disoriented, she watches a video prepared by Daisuke. The video is a recording of their wedding. Now, Daisuke has successfully become an astronomer and managed to secure a position in America after postponing his departure. After watching the video, Rue goes to the rooftop to stargaze with Daisuke and their daughter. Although her memory continues to fade, their little family remains surrounded by happiness. Together, they enjoy the beauty of the starry night, wishing that this moment could last forever. Moral lesson from the story: love can make you do stupid things like dress as a dinosaur or lie in the road, but at least you'll be memorable. Also, chasing dreams is great, but don't forget, stars might shine, but hugs are warmer.